ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Zamboanga, hermosa, preciosa palita, orgullo de Mindanao. Sus bellas dalagas son las que más sellan tu deliciosa ciudad. Flores y amores y adornan tu jardín. Eres la imagen de bello Edén. Zamboanga, hermosa, preciosa palita, orgullo de Mindanao. Flores y amores y adornan tu jardín. Eres la imagen de bello Edén. Zamboanga, hermosa, preciosa palita, orgullo de Mindanao. Orgullo de Mindanao.
Once again, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the panel discussion. So before anything else, we would like to introduce ourselves. I am Chelsea Jane Estomago, and together with me is Maria Cristina Ho.
And we are going to be the masters of ceremony for this afternoon's activity.
Formally start with our session, let us welcome Mr. Emma Nicolas Blade Idulsa of Claret Research Team Tech for Good Challenge under Toxic and Heavy Metals Group to give us the opening message.
Hello, audible?
Yes, po.
Oh, thank you. Hello, greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome everyone to our technical session and panel discussion on research presentation and communications. I am extending great gratitude towards our research moderators, Mr. Daniel Hernandez, Ms. Ruth Iturralde, Ms. Eliza Sanchez, and Mrs. Donna Ricoborda, and the rest of the team who put their utmost effort into this ongoing session. As a student, I know it can be extremely challenging to conduct a research, especially if it's quantitative experimental, it can be difficult to analyze data and come up with ideas to serve as a solution for different ongoing issues we choose to dwell on. But research can be an opportunity to show our potential as students and humans to solve modern problems the world may or might face in the future using our determination, intelligence, and will for something more excellent than we currently have, which is innovation. We have to remember that throughout our journey as grade 12, grade 11 and grade 12 researchers, we have our teachers who are willing to help us, such as to guide us on what shall we do, what we should do next, and modify our mistakes so we can produce a research paper that will significantly benefit future generations to come. We are not alone in this journey of ours. All we have to do is to keep that motivation, and all will be worth it in the end. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Eman Edulsa.
Now, may we call on Miss Anisa Chua to give us the introduction of the research discussants.
Good afternoon. I hope I'm audible at your end. Okay, thank you for that. Good afternoon once again, and I am with this today's panel discussion on research presentations and communications. I would like to present to you and introduce to you the discussants for today's panel discussion. And these are our very own Claret Research Team mentors. First, we have our CRT's finest, Mr. Daniel Angelito G. Hernandez, the current project leader, is teaching general physics, quantitative research, and junior high school science. His past and ongoing works are deeply rooted on physical education, concepts and demonstrations, and material science. Let me read to you some of his research proposals and papers. Analysis of average water flow rate of Claret School of Zamboanga City, Martires de Barbastro Buildings Water Piping and Distribution System using equation of continuity and Bernoulli's principle of fluid flow. Determination of elastic properties of untreated snake plant fiber using static method via Hooke's law. And academic performances of grade 12 general physics students in dynamic learning program contextualized classroom towards flipped learning. Next, we have Ms. Donna May R. Caborda. The current research consultant is teaching qualitative research, media and information literacy, ICT, and junior high school English this school year. Her past and ongoing works are deeply rooted on discipline of humanities and language communication. Some of her works include experiences of teachers in dynamic learning program, evaluation of LMS delivered lifelong learning modules on the flexible learning transfer in senior high school, and sustainable self-regulated learning transfer in flexible dynamic learning program online environment using LMS delivered lifelong learning units. Next, we have Ms. Ruth J. Iturralde, the project consultant, academic and research assistant to the Office of the School Director. Her past and ongoing works are deeply rooted on language teaching and strategies. Her works include learning styles of selected grade 10 students of Zamboanga National High School West, evaluation of LMS delivered lifelong learning modules on the flexible learning transfer in senior high school, and sustainable self-regulated learning transfer in flexible dynamic learning program online environment using LMS delivered lifelong learning units. Finally, we have Ms. Eliza Amor P. Sanchez, the current research consultant is teaching qualitative research, literature, and junior high school English this school year. Her past and ongoing works are deeply rooted on language studies and teaching. Her works include the difference in speaking motivation and proficiency level among senior high school students, perceptions of Chabacano-based mother tongue teachers on English learners in ICAS de Calarian, and the frequency of text messaging and writing proficiency among grade 10 students. Once again, let's give a hand to our today's discussants.
Thank you, Miss Anisa. Now, this is the time for us to begin with the session on research communication and panel discussion. Again, we would like to thank Miss Anisa Chua for the introduction of the discussants. Now, we will formally begin with the session on research communication and panel discussions.
Hi, good afternoon. Am I audible? Am I audible, everyone?
Yes po, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, thank you, Chelsea and MK, for introducing us, your CRT mentors. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge my fellow mentors, Ma'am Rufi Corralde, Ma'am Eliza Sanchez, and Ma'am Donna Rica Borda for being with us today. So before we begin our panel discussion, let's concentrate first, or let's talk about first what is really all about research or presenting and communicating research. So that's why my topic right now this afternoon, before we proceed with the panel discussion on presenting and communicating research, let's talk about how to present and how to communicate research. Right. So the first question I want to ask to everyone is why there is a need for us to communicate research, and why is it very important as a researcher that we need to communicate with other researchers for our research works. One of the answers is doing a scientific research or any research work. So my apologies if I'm going to use the context of doing scientific research, because my field is on doing scientific research, particularly in physics. So majority of one of my context here would be really in doing scientific works. But nevertheless, everything that we do in scientific works is also applicable in any other research works in any other or in every field of study. So doing any research work usually ends with an interpretable results and findings, right? That can benefit the society and add new knowledge to the existing information in a different field of study. So every research work needs to be presented. It must not be stagnant or it must not be compiled only. Everything must be presented to the public in any field of study. And communicating research is very essential for writing a paper or writing a scientific paper because in doing a in communicating research or we communicate with using our research, we can number one obtain funding from different organizations, different government agencies, and so on and so forth. And if you are a researcher, if you go in the professional level of research, you need funds, you need additional money so that your paper can work uh, properly because you will be needing monetary or financial aspects. You need financial support so that you can buy or you can buy the equipment that you need. You can request for laboratory analysis. You can of course you can give tokens to your participants in your study and so on and so forth. And also in when you are communicating research, you are getting more credentials, especially when you are going to communicate or present your works from in some national and international organizations. Another thing also that the why do we need to communicate our research is that there is really a need for us to present our works because it needs to be presented to the public so that it will reach the general for the common good of the people. And of course, using this data that's we present in our research work, certain people or a group of people concerned with regard to certain problem can use your data to enhance any policy or any regulation so that the people will continue to live on how should they supposed to live. Some research works on or mental health, say for example. So using the data on mental health analysis and other research works on mental health, they can use these particular findings in creating policies, in creating laws, so that they can adjust or not adjust, but they can provide solutions, provide interventions to those people who are suffering from mental health sickness. Right? And sometimes our research work, because there are levels of research. First is we do a discovery-based research. Some are doing applied research, and the last level is doing a policy research. Wherein doing a policy research based on the data, they need to come up with an intervention or a policy or a law that would help or that would augment the problem. No, not augment the problem, but that would address the problem using the data that you presented in any presentation. So that's why doing presenting research is very crucial and very important for a researcher. And the communication method in giving out information to the public should be clear, okay, and understandable so that the public is well informed. Yes, your research work may be sophisticated. You are using scientific terms, you are using words that cannot be expressed in layman's term. But the very importance of it, even though it cannot be expressed in a layman term, you as a researcher, you as a presenter should be able to manifest a clear justification, a clear information that can be understood by the public. because the public, you need to expect that majority of the public is not expert on a field, on a certain field. Say you have a scientific work on nanofibers. So majority of the people can the people who can only understand nanofibers are the ones involved in doing nanofibers. Say for example, scientists, engineers, material scientists, and all physicists and chemists. They are all ones who understand nanofibers. But if you present it to the general public doesn't know what is a nanofiber. So it is your job as a researcher that you need to expound this idea of nanofibers to them. How is nanofibers uh, essential to their work or to their life, and so on and so on. Just for an example. So every researcher should manifest or should practice or develop the skill of being able to communicate well, being able to communicate clearly, and can be understood using simple terms. Now, there are different types of research presentation. The first two, we have the oral presentations, poster presentations, lectures, seminars, workshops, and roundtable discussion. So these are the four ways of relaying research information. But I won't focus on the last two. I will only dwell on the first two types of research presentation, the oral presentation and the poster presentation. So what is an oral presentation and poster presentation and their difference? First is an oral presentation. An oral presentation requires the researchers to present in front of an audience. Now, if you are an oral presenter, you will be presenting your work with a certain group of people in front of them. Of course, with the use of visual aid. So this visual aid may be in the form of a live demo. It can be a PowerPoint presentation. That's an oral presentation. While the poster presentation is done, or poster presentations are done in a spacious area, in a big space where there are lots of research posters also being presented. So it's a simultaneous presentation of different research works, where there are also other researchers who are presenting their work to the general public. So there are lots of papers being presented at the same time, and various researchers are also there to explain their work. So it's more on a gallery walk and an on the spot question and answer with other people. So people there are viewing your work. Us in the CRT, us in the Claret Research Team experienced these two kinds of presentation when we were in Butuan and in Mapua University. So this is how the oral presentation is being done. So this photo in the oral presentation was captured last February 11, 2020 at Zamboanga University when I presented my winning paper on academic performance on general physics students using flipped learning DLP program. This is an oral presentation, but in a form of plenary session. So later on, I will share to you what are the two kinds of presentations in an oral presentation. Then the other one is a sample of a poster presentation where our students from the Claret Research Team also presented their work at Mapua University last October 2019. So there they are. This is their research poster. This is their poster. And then they are presenting to the public, asking the public is asking questions and their presenters are answering the questions that is being thrown to them simultaneously yung pagkakabigay sa kanila. So, marami sabay-sabay nagtatanong, magtutumpukan sila sa input. So those are the two kinds of research presentation. But how do you do this one? So every presentation has their purpose, but primarily these purposes would go into three different kinds of purposes. So we have number one is informative. There are research works or there are research presentations that aims to relay their findings, just to inform the general public that this is the research all about. No, there are just to present, informing the public that this what happens when we put when we activate our biocharcoals with potassium hydroxide, and this is what would happen if we're going to activate our biocharcoals using calcium chloride, and if we use if we create biofuels using sodium hydroxide as the catalyst for esterification. This would happen if we're going to use potassium hydroxide for esterification and so on and so forth. Just a purpose of giving out significant information to everyone. And then the other purpose is persuasion or persuasive purpose persuasive presentation, where it is done for the purpose of calling people into action. You are going to persuade people that you need to adopt my research, because my research, the data that I presented to you would be beneficial to this particular group of people, where they can they can live according to their how they should live as a community, and so on and so forth. We are going to persuade someone. We're going to persuade some top officials, even manufacturers, developers, so that they will buy or they will patent your research work and use your model to be produced or to be manufactured and distributed worldwide. This particular research purpose is very this particular purpose of research presentation is very visible if you're doing an engineering type of research. You're building something, you're doing robots, and so on and so forth. You need to persuade some people so that they can support you and do a mass production of your model and distribute it globally, and you will earn something from it. I think this happens to researchers who are patented researchers. Even though even in research proposals, you are persuading your evaluators, your panelists, that this is your study all about, and so on. Making them believe, calling them to do something about. Excuse me. And the last purpose is instructional purpose, wherein you are instructing the audience regarding specific methods and procedures, wherein if you are an education researcher, this particular model would be best if we follow these certain procedures, teaching procedures, and so on and so forth. Even in the sciences, instructional purpose of doing research is also feasible, because you are suggesting to the public that it would be best if we do this particular method than this particular method. Say for example, one good example is in cosmology right now, is how we measure gravitational waves, which is more better to measure gravitational waves. Are we going to use the cosmic microwave background, or what we call the CMB, or are we going to use infrared rays as we measure, or which is more better, the Virgo detector, the LIGO detector, or the Cagra detector, and so on and so forth. No? So these are the three, and these purposes can be mixed, as you present all in your presentation. So it really comes into a certain point wherein you can inform the public, you are going to persuade the public, and you're going to instruct the public on how things should be done. Now, I would like to present first how do you do oral presentations, and then we move in on how are you going to do poster presentations. So first is I'm going to give you some tips or outlines on how to present your papers orally. So in oral presentations, primarily you are going to create a PowerPoint presentation for this, and these are the things that you need to present in your oral presentation. So please take note of this, and this might help you in the upcoming activity that we're going to have next week. The things that you need to present in the presentation are the following: the brief introduction of your study, what is the motivation behind the study, the objective of the study, and how important your study is. After presenting the brief introduction, you can now present the method of the study, how did we collect the data, and so on and so forth. And of course, you present the results. While you are presenting the results, we are now discussing what is the result all about and providing evidences to support your study. And of course, lastly, you need to present the conclusion. After all of these results, after all of the analysis that you have made, you conclude what is the implication of your study. The next thing that you need to remember that in doing oral presentation in your slide, because there is what we call a bad presentation and a good presentation. Sorry. Now, first, if we begin with writing down the research title and the authors in the first slide. Of course, if you do PowerPoint presentations, we always acknowledge what is the title of our presentation first, and then we go to the proponents of the study. Say, for example, in my presentation right now, the title was presented, then the author was presented in the paper or in the study, in the presentation. And then the second slide will be the outline of your research presentation. If we talk about outline, we're going to place in your second slide that these are the things that you're going to discuss. So that is what we call the outline. So you're going to first, you inform the public that you're going to first discuss the introduction, then the method, the results, and the conclusion, and the references, and so on and so forth. Of course, in presenting your research work in an oral presentation, you need to follow the order of presentation that you have presented in the outline. You must not jump from second slide to the fourth slide, then you go to the third slide, and no, that's a big no. You need to follow the order of presentation. If you present in your outline, you have presented that you need to discuss first the motivation, then you discuss the objective and the significance of the study and its implications. You need to follow that, so that your readers will be also have the idea that this is how are you going to present, and they can organize their thoughts also. And of course, majority of you are in doing PowerPoint presentation, they just put something into it, put data, put some words, but there is really a very good point on how to make our oral presentation very nice and very understandable to the public. Now, you only need to place the main point of your discussion. And there are 2 points. You can add 2 points, the main point and the secondary point. So the main point is the major information that you're going to give, and the secondary point is the evidence that will support the main information or the main point that you have. So what makes a good slide structure? First is if you have you use only 1 to 2 slides per minute in your presentation. So do not dwell in your slide for 10 minutes, for 3 minutes. 1 to 2 slides per minute will do because you have a limited time in the presentation. And then write point form or bullet form for in your presentation, and not complete sentences or paragraphs, such as this. And only include 1 to 2 points per slide. As I mentioned a while ago, the main point and the secondary point of your presentation. And of course, avoid lengthy words. You need to follow the rule of sevens. For those who are not familiar with the rule of sevens, is seven words per line, and seven lines per slide. Sometimes it can be also interpreted as 7 words in 7 lines. 7 words in 7 lines, and so on and so forth. As long as it's not congested and it's not wordy in the presentation. Of course, there is a need for you to acknowledge and cite the works of others, especially if you're going to present the results, and then you place some proof that your paper or the results of your study is similar to this particular author or some RRL features. You need to cite them. You need to acknowledge them in form of a respect, and because of their academic profile and their success in their studies. But bad slide structure, what does a bad slide structure look like? This one. Majority of you might be able to relate to this particular kind of presentation. You just place everything there in the slide, then you read it. Now, we do not do that in a research presentation. We don't read the slide. We present something, then we explain. Right? We explain. We present key points, then we discuss verbally. We don't just read. And it's a big no-no when we read our slides. Another thing for a good slide structure is that you show 1 point at a time per slide, and at least the minimum font size is 28 points. And you need to emphasize the main point from the secondary point by placing some indicators or values, or there is a difference between the main point in terms of color, say for example, in terms of the font size, or any indicator that this is the main point and this is the secondary point. Of course, you need to use standard fonts such as Times New Roman or Arial styles, because there are lots of Arial styles. But we have Arial, we have Arial Narrow. I'm using Arial Narrow, so it looks like more formal and organized. So we don't use Jokerman. We don't use any calligraphic fonts. We don't do that because this is not an art class. We don't do over-designed text in our presentation. And it is really preferable if you are going to use the graphs rather than using words. If you have graphs, tables, and pictures, even pictures, it's really good. But you must not overload the animations. Like say for example, you are placing in your PowerPoint some fireworks and all. You cannot do that in the research presentation. Don't overload with animations. No distracting color. My apologies if the background is very bright, but no distracting colors in the PowerPoint presentation. But we have a good news. You don't need to worry about the anime with the colors of the slide, because our organizers for the event next week will be giving the template of the presentation ahead of time for you. Do not overwhelm the presentation with moving pictures and animations and so on and so forth. You can add pictures. Yes, you can add pictures, especially if that particular picture is very beneficial for your study. And of course, in the results, you can place pictures. If you're dealing with sciences, we post really pictures. We include pictures like the picture of the fiber, the picture of the image in the scanning electron microscope, and so on and so forth. you can include videos, yes, as part of your data. Say for example, if you're doing microscopy, you can show the video of how the presence of this particular bacteria in the image, that it moves around, and so on and so forth. You can do that as part of your presentation in the result. And always remember that the presentation in the every research presentation is time limited. You don't have all day to present your work. You only have around 20 to 25 minutes to present your work in every research presentation. So be be mindful of be mindful on how to share your presentation. So that's why you do not dwell for a long time in the presentation of your introduction and so on and so forth. We suggest that you use 1 to 2 minutes per slide, or even one minute per slide to talk about your presentation, and dwell more on the results later on, because that is the main focus of your study. Because this is more on the final presentations, you dwell on the result of your study, rather than dwelling in the introduction of the study. The motivation of my study is because my cat died, so my cat died due to cholera, so I want to study cholera. What happens to what happens to the cats if they I will place some bacteria to the cats, and so on and so forth. But please don't do that. Please don't operate on cats. So they are very cute people, cute animals, so don't harm them. Okay. So the last thing for doing all our presentation is that always proofread your slides. No, you check the grammar of your slide. Maybe if yes, there are auto corrections in the Microsoft PowerPoint or in the WPS, there are auto corrections, but don't rely too much on these auto corrections, because sometimes they vary on the language that you're using in your in the system. Maybe you are using the American English, or you're using the British English, and so on and so forth. So please do grammar checks. You can submit your presentations to your advisor or to your research teacher, so that they can check your research work, your presentation, before presenting it to the public. And of course, last, address your conclusion using the objective. That's the last point that you need to present to the public, is that addressing the conclusion. And how do you address the conclusion? Is that you go back always to the objectives that you have. Say that there is a difference between this group with this group, and so on and so forth. Always go back to the objectives of your study and conclude what's going on in the result of the study. And of course, last, the super last, you end the presentation with a bang. It means that you need to leave a good impression to the audience. Don't leave a bad impression of you when you are presenting your research work. Okay. Yes, you might be feeling nervous, some anxieties in presenting research presentation, but even though you are experiencing those kind of anxieties, you need to end your presentation with a good impression about how you deliver the study, or how you deliver the presentation, and don't leave them hanging with your presentation. Always end with a bang, with a vindication, and a good result, always. Okay? So that's how you do oral presentation. Right now, what we are doing right now is an oral presentation, an example of an oral presentation. And this might be new to you, how to do poster presentations. So another type of presentation is what we call poster presentations, wherein we instead of having a PowerPoint, we create a poster. But the poster is not the same with the other posters during Nutrition Month, during Buwan ng Wika, during Science Month, and Mathematics Month. No, that's different. The research poster that we are talking about is the presentation of hard works of the people in doing the research study. Poster paper serves as the presentation of hard works in the laboratory, apart from the oral presentation. Of course, you are doing it orally, you are delivering the message of the study orally, but how you present is different. In the oral presentation, you present using a PowerPoint presentation or a live demo, but in the poster presentation, all of the data, all of the things that you are going to present is visible in one big picture or in one big tarpaulin. No, that is the poster presentation, and we will share you some examples of the posters that is created by the current members of the Claret Research Team when they went to Mapua University. Now, a poster presentation serves as a graphic story of the research work or a creative project. But please, please, please note that this is we are not doing arts creative works. Yeah, your ideas are creative. Yes, I know that because you are in Claret Zamboanga City, and that's why we use space as our theme for the next week's event because we are creative. We are creative and open to the mysteries of the vast world. But there is a limitation in the creativity in doing academic work, in academic paper. But what is very important in the poster presentation is that you can create a graphic representation or a graphic story of your research work. A poster presentation in doing poster presentation is a simple presentation but effective in displaying research findings. We always focus in the poster the findings of the study, not the motivation, not the introduction. The methods and the result of the study are most highlighted in this particular presentation. And what are the particular specifications and design that we need to have in doing poster presentation? We use attractive designs. Yes, we use attractive design, attractive colors, so that because it's good to the eyes of the people who are viewing. And the size draws attention also. But we have prepared a size specification of the poster that is 30 inches by 40 inches, and we will share it to you if we started or we have the results of the screening already. You use blocks or any arrows or indicators that would show as a guide for the eyes of the audience, so that they are guided that this is the first part, then this is the second part, then so on and so forth. Of course, your research poster must be readable 6 to 10 feet away. And use large fonts such as 30 points for the font style or font size rather. Actually, that's the minimum. The minimum font size that you can have is 30 points. Then you use high contrast font color. So those are some of the background on the specifications or the design of the poster. But we have our organizers for the next week's event has a certain guideline on what are the things that we need to include in the poster and the size, particularly the size of the poster. Now, how are we going to deliver the story of your poster? Is that we always use the RCV principle. What is the RCV principle? We have rapid, concise, and visual. What do we mean by this one? So the first principle that we need to apply in doing a poster presentation is that you need to present your research very quick and very clear. We call this as speed talk. So because you don't have a lot of time, there are lots of people roaming around. You cannot accommodate everyone, so you're going to deliver the answer to every question very quick. And even though it's very quick, you must be clear on explaining all of your findings when they are going to ask you something. Very concise. You need to be concise also because you need to express your findings very precise. Because again, as I have mentioned, you have a certain time limit only. You have a certain time limit because sometimes the audience will roam from one poster to another poster, and then they will then you have a new audience, they leave you, and then another one will ask, then they leave, and so on and so forth. So that's it's more on just a viewing of your poster, and maybe later we can ask our members of the Sunagu Research Project because some of them are experienced how to do poster presentation. They can share later on. No? They can share later on their experience in doing poster presentation. And of course, it must be readable. The last principle rather is the visual principle is that you need to draw your audience into your poster with attractive design, clear figures, graphs, and illustrations. You need to stand out. You have lots of competitors. You have lots of researchers right there. You need to draw out your audience. You need to stand out. Call them. Hey, friend. Hey, you. No. Hey. Hi. How are you? Like that. How are you? I'm John De La Cruz. I'm doing a research project on lignocellulosic biomass particles, and this is my research work, and then so on. You need to what we call as pabibo in poster presentation. Lumalabas yan ang pagiging pabibo ng isang tao sa poster presentation, and that's true. So if you allow me to share my experience when I presented my winning paper in Mapua, last time in Mapua at Mapua University. There are only 2 papers who's talking about flipped classroom. So and the poster that she has she's a teacher also, a physics teacher, is full of data. Now, she has a good poster, but of course, as a clinician, we are pabibo. As a clinician, we are pabibo. So I did a live demo. Even I did a live demo. I got my phone, explained to him how Edmodo works in flipped classroom in Claret School, Zamboanga City. You need to persuade that particular person, even though he's not an evaluator. You need to persuade, because you will never know that if it's an evaluator or not. So you need to stand out, speak, but don't speak ill of your competitor. That's not good. Just stand out there and explain everything you can. And lastly, it must be organized, readable, and legible. It must be. It can be viewed from far or long distance. Napakalayo. It should be good sa eyes then. Good for the eyes. So that's how you deliver your poster story. And these are some examples of the research posters that we created. We presented this one last 2019 at Mapua University. So this is the poster that I have created for yours truly. This one is my winning poster on physics concepts. So I won first place here. So yeah, so what's the content of the poster is you have here the title of your study, the name of the author, and the affiliation. And then what are the parts of the poster? You have the abstract, the very short abstract. It's different from the abstract that we are writing. If you have that abstract, you need to compress it more. So there may be around 5 sentences, the maximum number I think we can place in the abstract in the research poster is 5 sentences. That's it. Sometimes there are papers that only have 3 sentences for the abstract in the poster paper. And then we have the introduction, the methods, results, then the conclusion. Since we are doing majority of us, if we are presenting research work in conferences, we also add references. So these are the main references. But for you guys, you can use the reference. You can add some references if it's up to you. Then if your paper is supported by a governing agency, a government agency, or you have fundings, you can write the acknowledgement here that your paper is supported by the UST, or your paper is supported by some LGUs or NGOs, and so on and so forth. Okay. So if you can see here, the indicator is going from left to right. The same is true with this one. Then I have here another example. This one created by this one on this particular side is the paper created by by Nika, by Danchi, Erika, Gail, and Thea. So this is the content of the paper. So we have the abstract, introduction, methods, results and discussion. They even place pictures. You can also do that, and the conclusion and recommendations. And then this one, the last poster that I'm going to share to you is it's a combination, a collaborative work from Claret, Wingsu, and Ateneo. The authors are Claretian alumni. No, this is our poster. We presented this one also. All of these were presented at Mapua University. So you will be doing this one also for those who will be presenting their works using the poster presentation. So thank you very much. That's the end of my presentation. I hope I was able to enlighten your minds on how to present your papers and how to communicate using research works, and especially in preparation for next week's event. So thank you very much. I'll turn over to our host for the continuation of the event.
Sorry. Thank you very much, Mr. Daniel Hernandez. That was a wonderful discussion to have. We hope our participants have taken down their notes and listened very well.
As we proceed to the next part of this event, we would like to introduce to you our moderators for the panel discussion, Ms. Aubrey Tubo and Ms. Kate Aizon of Claret Research Team, Project Collaborator of Junago Research Project 2021. Let us please give them a virtual round of applause.
Hello? Wait lang. Am I audible?
Yes po.
Okay. So we have prepared questions that may speak for everyone in this meeting who will present on the upcoming event that we have next week. So, sir, number one question. How do you effectively deliver the message of your results and findings, considering that this part of the research is full of information that needs to be well explained, right? But the students are only given limited time to explain everything. So how will that play out, sir?
What's the question again?
Wait lang, sir. Basically, sir, how do you effectively deliver the message of your results and findings? Since the students only have limited time to explain everything, so paano yun siya, sir?
Yeah, I think I can answer first on behalf of my fellow mentors.
Yes, hello. Good afternoon.
Here are my fellow mentors. I think you should can you pin them, the host? Can you pin my fellow mentors so that we can address them? So while our host is pinning someone for in the Zoom, I think we can. I think the answer to that question is how the question is right. How to effectively deliver results. The message of the result is first is we need to persuade. I think for me, no? For me, we need to persuade our listeners, our audience that these results are reliable. No? Of course, we need to explain to them how we got these particular results, and we need to explain how valid and reliable is that. And of course, I always in my experience in presenting in SBVM, I always provide enough support to my calculations, because primarily my one of my works is really on calculations. So I need to present some evidences that why this particular equation is more suitable in finding out this particular property or what. So as I, for example, in one of my first paper on Bernoulli's principle is that why did I use Bernoulli's principle and equation of continuity in finding out the velocity of the water flowing from the pipe in the comfort room of Claret School, Zamboanga City. Evidences really is very important.
Okay, thank you, sir, for that answer. So for number two, kung sino na lang yung mentor mag-answer. So for the second question, what are the details that needs to be presented when communicating your research study? Like, how do we determine what kind of important information that needs to be introduced so the audience will already have a general overview of what your research study is all about without making it sound overwhelming sa part ng audience? So, ma'am, sir.
I think Ma'am Donna can answer first. If
Yes,
it's okay.
hello. Hi. Unstable kasi yung hello? Hi.
Donna, I think you are audible. I'm not sure.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear. We can hear you,
Hi.
Ma'am Donna.
Okay. I'm so sorry kasi medyo unstable kanina yung please, may narinig ba kayo? Okay na ba?
Yes, ma'am. Clear
Okay.
audio, Ma'am
Thank
Donna.
you, sir. Okay. Kanina, no, I just wanna add also yung sinabi ni Dane kanina, not only for, findings and results, but this is in general talaga. Very common kasi ito nangyayari during oral movement. First is, I just want to share this one kasi based on my personal experience, way back when I had also my event. Please do not introduce the research again kasi especially that sa final event, your panelists have already final copy of your research. You have to go straight to your argument or point. Diba? Kasi kaya nga, diba natatagalan minsan, the time is very limited. You only have how many minutes to present that. But ang nangyayari, mostly, ang ginagawa hello, I'm back. Okay na ba?
Yeah, yes, Ma'am Donna. You're
Walang
clear.
problem. Okay. So, sana ba ako? Ayun no, as what I have said kanina, you do not have to read everything what nasa presentation. You can actually go straight to your argument or point. And then as you go to your argument, attack your issues now. Tell them what are you trying to defend or argue. And then make sure that you know your study all about. Yun kasi yung pinaka-common talaga. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So, Sir Daniel, baka may additional ano pa kayo? Hello?
Yeah, thank you. For the details or in communicating our research study, as I've mentioned in my session a while ago, is that uh, you must dwell. Yeah, it's very important that you need to dwell most of the time, majority of the time, on the results of your study, because yeah, yes, you need to explain also the motivation behind what is the study all about, but you need also to dwell more time on presenting the results of the study, because that is the most crucial point of your presentation, the results of your study, because majority of the audience would focus on the result of your study, especially those experts in the study, and some other cases they are also working on that particular topic or field. They would really ask something about your study. What's the difference with this particular result, with your results and with our results, so and so forth. So it's very important for you to really uh, dwell on the results and the implication, and maybe the difference on the results of the other researchers. Because in per experience, when I joined the national conference in physics, they are doing that one. They are asking questions that based on their experiences in the laboratory, and say for example on material sciences or in complex systems, they are really talking about their experience and what differs the results of that particular paper and their works, and they can create a fine line with that, especially questions from the experts talaga that would really matter.
Oh, okay, sir. So, thank you, ma'am and sir, for giving us a brief idea of how to effectively present our research. So, for the next questions, we have Miss Kate Aizon to present the remaining questions. So, Miss Kate Aizon, are you there?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Now, for the next questions, these are also another examples of what the panelists may or might ask during the conference so that the students will have a general idea in regards to the Q&A part of the conference. Now, the first question would be, what is the significant contribution of your study to your chosen field of interest? Sir, ma'am.
Well, uh, who's going to answer first? I think I don't know. Who's going to answer this? Well, if sige, maybe I can answer first. Then, uh, is it okay? Ako ba? I would like to clarify something. Is this about our experience as a researcher?
Um, about field of interest, sir. So we could correlate this, sir, with the field in which the degree is studied or the area of academic concentration. We could also correlate this with career path or career interest area.
Okay, okay. Okay. Um, I'll answer this question using my personal experience na lang, no, or using the context of my paper. So, there is a paper that I wrote on the elastic properties of snake plant fibers and thermal properties of snake plant fibers. Uh, and that those two papers um, contributes to the food packaging industry. They can be used as the as an alternative. Actually, it's in the food packaging industry in textile, clothing and textile, as an alternative material, as alternative raw material to be used in creating food packaging, because that's the trend here in the Philippines right now in food packaging, also in textile industry. So instead of using abaca fiber, we can use snake plant fiber also as an alternative to abaca fiber in creating clothes, in creating uh, uh, textile products. So in in relaying the significant contribution, we need to let our audience understand the context of our paper and how would it benefit them. I think that's the good example that I can give, the good answer that I can give for you guys is how beneficial would be your study to them. Especially those people or those audiences that is not an expert in the field. They're just member of the common people. They don't know something about this and they are looking for alternative ways on how to live using this, with limited means. I think your contribution as a researcher would be giving them alternative ways and means on how to live with the paper, the resources that they have using your study. So your results, their results would really provide a good implication on the improvement of their livelihood, especially.
Okay, thank you, sir. For the other mentors, do you have anything else to add?
Hello, good afternoon again. Can you hear me?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Erica. Sa akin naman, no, my study was actually all about teacher experience in the use of dynamic cerebral. So it actually contributed a lot talaga, especially sa school, no? Kasi by that, um, we can improve kung ano yung dapat i-improve. Like, we can re-examine key points or relevant points in the conduct of training on the LP process. We can also identify ano yung mga classroom approaches and techniques for the teachers. Ano pa ba? I-integrate yung mga other parts, no, in like lifelong learning experiences as guide for every activity made. Yeah, so it contributed a lot talaga, especially sa school. Kasi that's actually my goal talaga, to also help the school. So I guess that's all.
Thank you for that, ma'am. How about Ma'am Eli?
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes po.
This is the question, what's the significant contribution of your study to your chosen field of interest?
Yes po.
Okay, So to be honest po, I haven't done any individual research studies yet. Okay. The research studies that I have participated in were all done by group. So wala pa ako lang mag-isa. That's why I think I really cannot in concrete ways. But if ever that time comes, siguro soon, my chosen field of interest kasi is actually parang madami akong choices, madami akong field of interests. But then my profession would really gear me towards language studies or language teaching doon talaga. So I think if time comes that I will be doing and publishing my own research study on that field of interest, I think that the significant contribution of that research study would be for the benefit not just of the students but also of the teachers or the education sector as a whole. So I'm still in the planning stage on how I would like to continue my journey as a graduate student and as an educator as well. So for my past research studies done with other people, hindi ko na kasi maalala talaga lahat. But most of those studies are connected with education, with language teaching, language studies, and uh, these studies can actually be ano ba yan? Basis of future studies. If ever gusto pang gawan ng mga studies na similar to that. So yun lang. Thank you.
Thank you for that, mentors. Now we have second question, and this would be how can your recommendations rather help the community concerned?
Hi, I'm back again. So can I turn off my camera? Medyo unstable na siya.
Sure po, ma'am.
Okay. So again, the question is how can your recommendations help the community? So let's just again go back sa what I have already mentioned kanina. No, my study was all about about teacher experiences using dynamic learning program. Since it was there sa result na may mga alam niyo na negative challenges ng mga teachers regarding about this the implementation of DLP. So what I did or what we did, with of course the suggestions of my advisor and with the panelists, we actually made an action plan. So gumawa kami ng action plan to help improve kung ano man yung dapat i-improve. So yeah, I presented the action plan with the objectives, rationale, and things to do for the school. So naka-list down yung lahat. Again with the rationale, objective, and then yung action. So in that way, we can help the school or even sa other schools also. Kasi this is not only applicable for our school also. Kasi normally meron talaga mga challenges. Okay, that's all I guess. So yun, gumawa kami ng action plan.
Thank you for that, Ma'am. How about Ma'am Ella and Sir Dan?
For me, it's the recommendations are more visible in terms of uh, giving out more information or the things to do that we can give to the community. Say for example, because I have various fields of interest in my research. First, I do physics education research. I do material sciences research. Now I'm dwelling also on nanofibers as one of my fields of interest, and also I'm starting to dwell starting to study high energy physics in right now. But based on this field of study that I have, the recommendations would really help a lot of people, not just the researcher as myself as a researcher, but it would give them some points to find something more deeper than what I have learned or what I have found out in my study. So these recommendations are not just there for the paper, but these recommendations would open many doors for more improvement, more focus on the similar study, but would focus on another context, maybe. And of course, if we dwell in education researches, we give out strategies or teaching methods or anything that would improve the the say for example the performance or academic performance of the students and so on and so forth. And sometimes we, based on the recommendations that we have, we can create policies. As I mentioned in my session a while ago, these results or these recommendations also can lead to policy making, policy research, no? And our officials, some top officials can use these recommendations to create something that would alleviate the problem of the people.
Thank you again, mentors. Let's move on to our last question. Why is this study relevant to define and recognize the needs of the population? Anyone can answer po.
I'm still thinking with this question, how to attack this question. I think I'll pass first to my fellow mentors.
Okay, so the question is, why is this study relevant to clearly define and recognize needs? I guess my answer is for the purpose of comparison and improvement. That's one also.
Why is this study relevant to define, recognize the needs of the population? As I've mentioned in my previous answer in the recommendations, there are several studies that would really help in providing solutions to the problem of the community. Well, in material sciences, they are from basic material sciences, of course, the high school research level. We are providing alternative means to the people. So, for example, right now my team is working on biopolymers in with Anissa Chua and Adrian Aguiling. We are working on biopolymers together with our Mangus also, using destroyed mango. And then we are also the Sunagukula project members are also working on using microalgae to isolate feeding microalgae to create biofuel products. So it's really more on the needs of the people. And another thing is using a phytoremediation technique to filter out contaminants for the farmers, so that they won't be resorting to insecticides, pesticides, other hazardous materials that would have a side effect to the general public, especially to the farmers. So by using phytoremediation, it can be an alternative way to have a good quality of soil without destroying the plant or the product. So several studies that we're currently doing right now would really help a lot of people because of the importance, the implication, and the urgency, what we call the urgency of the study. And as right now we are experiencing a depletion of the sources that we have. Raw materials are being depleted already. Right now we are experiencing a price hike in the gasoline, oil prices. So that's where biofuel will come in, because biofuel are more cheaper than the commercial fuel from Russia, from Saudi. These are more cheaper. So we are providing alternative solutions for the benefit of the community really. So it answers the question on recognizing the needs of the population by providing alternative solutions.
Thank you, sir. How about the other mentors? Do you have anything else to add?
Hello, let me add also, aside what Sir Daniel mentioned kanina. So it is very important to really define the population sa research ninyo. Kasi this is a way for us as researchers to avoid confusion. And this will also, give clear ano ba? Clear understanding to other writers or readers and in general sa public. So that's for me.
Thank you, ma'am. How about Ma'am Eli? Okay, I guess that's all for the questions.
So that was the last question that we have from Miss Aizon and Miss Tubo. We would like to thank the discussants for imparting to us their experiences and skills in the field of research.
We hope our participants have gained essential information that they can use and implement in their research project. Now, may we call on Ms. Donna May Ricoborda for some announcements.
Okay, so thank you so much, Chelsea and MK. Yeah, before we will end our activity this afternoon, let me share to you what I have also experienced when I also had my DFED, actually recently lang. And yeah, kasi you only have 1 week, no, before our research conference. But the question is, ready na ba lahat? Ready na ba? So now again, I will share to you few reminders. Kasi kanina, di ba, Sir Daniel have mentioned or presented what to include in your presentations. So now, I just wanna add, no, kung ano yung mga preparations, I mean, what to prepare before and during oral defense. So very short lang naman ito. I hope that you can learn from these experiences. Okay. So first, I believe that you have your final copy already. Tama ba ako? It was already checked by your research teacher, right? So ano ba ang gagawin? We only have 1 week na lang, ma'am. Ano ba yung mga preparations? Meron pa ba? Meron pa bang mga preparation? We only have a very limited time. Of course, meron. Kasi especially final defense yan. Okay, so first is, hindi naman siguro na you will just keep that final copy lang sa inyo. So first, you must read your research. Dapat, again. So parang you will get a clean copy of your paper and then read that again. Parang nagbabasa ka lang, first time mo lang read that again like it's a first time. Parang ganun lang. And then you have to know or familiarize the parts, contents, or sections, of course, of your research. And then after that, so nag-first read ka, next move mo, mag-second read ka. So anong gagawin dito? That's the time that you will actually do highlighting. Sino yung mga nag-highlight dito na mga relevant informations, of course. So highlight points that you feel important or relevant to your defense. And you can actually see also minor arguments while you are reading your paper. You can actually try that one, no? Starting tonight. Dapat kasi you only have how many days na lang. And hopefully na in this second reading, this will be retained in your memory when you will go to your oral defense. I hope so. Kaya nga, mas maganda na gagawin niyo siya tonight or 2 or 3 days before your final defense. But remember, you don't do it the night before. Parang the same lang yan, no? If you want to take major exams or if you are taking major exams, it's a no-no talaga na you will do your last review the night before. I don't know sa iba ha, pero sa akin no, kasi minsan ang nangyayari, nagme-mental block ka, no? And then, yeah, nagka-cramming, nape-pressure ka. So, gano'n. So, do that 2 to 3 days before. Yan kasi ginagawa ko. I don't know sa iba. Okay, and then, next is, of course, pwede din na you will practice the defense. Ask someone or let someone sit with you, your friend ba, sister, brother, no? Then, of course, bigyan mo sila ng copy of your research study. So practice, no? Let that person or let them hear your defense, your mannerism, yung dictions mo. Let them judge you by your style, how you will present. At least may idea ka na noon before your oral defense. And also let them spot the errors. Kasi maybe you did not see yung mga may mali pa pala sa first or second time na ginawa mo. So yun siya. And lastly, you also have dapat may proper mindset ka during the defense. Anong ibig sabihin yan, ma'am? Kasi nangyayari talaga ito during defense. One is you don't have to say or you do not say dapat that you are right. Don't say that the panelists are wrong. Ano ang silbi ng mga panelists sa harap mo? Okay? So don't try to deviate, that's the term, what you understand in your research. Kasi you might be asked tricky questions. Hindi natin alam, di ba? Parang ganun lang ang mangyayari. And then, talking about panelist questions, one of the first thing I look, no, kasi of course kami with Sir Daniel, Ma'am Eli, Ma'am Ruth, no, with experience also as panelists, no. So, sa akin, I look for errors, mga minor errors, minsan grammatical, page number errors, meron talaga yan, margin errors. So if that happens to you have to admit it. No, admit those errors. So if the panelist shows that something is wrong, wag ka nang mag-argue. Do not argue that they are wrong. Again, don't have the mindset that you are right all the time. So kung if you are against what the panelists conclude sa study mo, just simply state your conclusion. With due respect, I humbly disagree, sir, ma'am. So may ano pa rin, yung proper behavior natin during oral defense. So parang, yeah, yun lang. And what else? This one. When you are about to answer the questions, don't base your answer from your personal experiences. Kasi yun din yung what we've observed also way back. So please, please use fact information talaga. So I guess that's all. No, sana you've learned from what I've also experienced. So then you can actually apply that one during before and during your oral defense. So let me again announce to you the official schedule for our research conference. And that will be again on March 25, Friday, that's Friday. And then second day natin, April 2. And then our last day natin is April 8. That's Friday from 8 to 5 p.m. So all of you are actually required to be here, sa school to present your presentation. For other details, can I ask Sir Daniel and Ma'am Eliza and also Ma'am Ruth? Actually, we also have our CRT page naman, Student Congress page, Senior High School page. Now, for more updates, you can actually visit or check some announcement in relation to our upcoming research conference.
Yeah. Thank you, Ma'am Donna.
Yesterday.
Yeah, before we'll give the other instructions with regards to the conference, like some additional bits on the conference. I would like to invite our host, our Claret Research Team to show the official announcement video of our second CSGC online research conference, the new normal hybrid conference. Please watch this. All right. Thank you very much, our technical team, our technical and documentation committee for doing that video of our CSGC online, second CSGC online research conference, the new normal hybrid conference. So we'll see you soon on next week, March 25, April 2, and April 8. March 25. Okay, again, that will be on March 25, April 2, and April 8. 2 Fridays and a Saturday. So for additional announcement, everyone will present their works because we call it a hybrid presentation because all presenters will be presenting here at school, and the audiences will be virtually present here in our Zoom meeting. So there are 3 modes of presentation. First is we have the plenary sessions, then we have the parallel sessions, and then the poster presentation. So we have 17 parallel sessions. We have 10 guest speakers. We have and we have 7 plenary. No, not 7. Around 8 rather. So we have, I think, 17 to 18 plenary speakers. So we have approximately 10 guest speakers from our alumni from De La Salle University, from United Kingdom. We have from Indonesia. We have from the Mindanao State University. And then we also have from other institutions. And then the parallel sessions, there are 4 parallel sessions. These are oral presentations, and we have divided them into 8 clusters, the SDG clusters, and then everyone will have the opportunity to present their works there. And then we have the poster presentations. It will be also done here in Claret School of Zamboanga City. So these are the 3 modes of presentation. Again, we have the parallel session. The parallel session are the best papers, the best of the best papers from every SDG cluster, or we call their categories. And then we have the best papers from every SDGs or SDG clusters, for the parallel sessions. And then there are the notable papers in the poster presentation. So those are the three modes of presentation. So the results, so right now, at the moment, we are now screening all of the papers. So please do submit your abstracts so that we can screen your paper until tomorrow. Okay, the screening will be until tomorrow, but the submission of the abstracts will be until 10 p.m. of this day, 10 p.m. to 9. So submit your works so that we can screen it. The research mentors can screen it, can decide, can place you into the different research presentations. And we will be sending this afternoon also the official communication letter to your dear parents and guardians for our research conference next week. So thank you very much. And I'll give now the floor to our host.
Thank you very much to our mentors. So since our online research conference is fast approaching, to all our participants in this meeting room, maybe you have some clarifications and questions.
So you can raise your hand for you to be acknowledged, or you may type your questions on the meeting chat.
So we have a question here from Giovanni Galvez. So when po i-announce if anong date po mag-present ang mga researchers, Sir Daniel?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Um, we will announce the date. We will announce the dates of presentation by every SDG cluster after Sunday. So more or less Monday we have the results. On Sunday we have the results of the screening committee. From the screening committee we will publish the results if are you going to present, and then on Monday we can give you the official program. We'll give you ahead of time the official program so that you know when are you going to present. Okay, yeah.
So we have another question from Misa Chua. Sir, ano po ang size ng poster sa tarpaulin if ever po? Yung poster presentation.
Okay, that's a good question. The size of the poster is 30 inches by 40 inches. So 30 inches width, 40 inches height. Yeah, height. So it's in portrait, so it looks like this, yung parang ganito siya. Na ano. So the one the one I showed a while ago in my session, that's 30 by 40. Okay. we have a question here. I'll read it na lang, Chelsea and MK. With regards to the attire of the presentation, there is no need for you to use a coat, and please do not use coat because it's I think it's uncomfortable for you to use coat. Just be in your business attire. Boys, gentlemen, you can be in your long sleeves. Plus, and then the ladies can be in their pencil skirts or any casual attire. You can also use your long pants, but please be decent. No, please be decent in this in your attire. So no one should be using spaghetti skirts or what trousers. No, you can't be in shorts. You can't. You must be in pantaloons. Yun. More details will be announced in our official letter also. And for more information with regards to the conference, please visit the Senior High School Facebook page and Claret Research Team Facebook page for more announcements also.
So, I guess that's it. If meron pa kayong gustong tanungin, pwede nyo pang ihabol sa ating meeting chat or by raising your hands.
Okay, siguro I can give a heads up na. For those who will be presenting in the plenary session, you have 25 minutes to present your work. For the parallel session, you have 20 minutes. So that's 15 minutes presentation, then 5 minutes forum for every paper. In the plenary session, you have 25 minutes, but you have a separate 20 minutes for the forum. Because we have 3 different kinds of plenary sessions. We have the single plenary, we have the dual plenary, and the triple plenary. In the you will be presenting in either dual or triple plenary because the single plenary is allocated for our guest speakers. So in the single plenary, we call in the dual plenary rather. So you have a partner. So both of you have 25 minutes each to present your work, and then you have a joint 20 minutes for the forum. And in the triple plenary, we also follow that particular setup. So 3 plenary sessions is joined in 75 minutes or 25 minutes each, and another 20 minutes for the forum. And then in the poster sessions, we have 2 separate poster sessions, but we also have another 2 sessions, a total of 4 sessions. The 2 sessions are mini sessions, and the 2 sessions are the main sessions. So there are 1 hour for every main sessions are allocated for the speed talks. Now, it's an on-the-spot speed talk. You are going to position yourself in front of your poster. Okay, the maximum time of the sessions for, again, I've mentioned a while ago, if you are in the plenary session, you have 25 minutes. And if you're on the 25 and 1 second of your presentation, we will stop your presentation. Okay. In the parallel session, you have 20 minutes. You have 20 minutes. And then you have 20 minutes. You have 20 minutes. In the 20 minutes, as I mentioned a while ago, 15 minutes will be allocated for the presentation and 5 minutes for the question and answer. You can go below the given time, but please do not present your work in just 3 minutes. And then the poster presentation, you have an unlimited time for 1 hour.
So, we guess that's it for now since wala na pong nag-raise ng any more questions.
So may we request our participants in this meeting room to please open their cameras for the photo op.
So, turn on na guys if you want your face to be shown. So, we have 4 slides po. Ready lang tayo sa counting. So, for first slide, wait lang. Okay na. 1, 2, 3, smile.
Next.
Next slide. 1, 2, 3. Third slide. And fourth slide. So thank you guys for turning on your cams and for participating in this panel discussion. So to formally end this afternoon's program, let me call Ms. Mika Hana Senyo, Project Collaborator of Fuego Research Project 2021, Claret Research Team, for the closing remarks.
So good afternoon, everyone. Before we end this online event, I would like to acknowledge and thank our Claret Research Team mentors and members and the people who have worked hard to make this panel discussion successful. Thank you also to our dear grade 11 and 12 students who have lended their time and willingness to learn on how we can effectively deliver a research presentation for the upcoming second online research conference. I hope that this discussion helped you gain knowledge, some tips and tricks in preparation for your final defense. Always remember to believe in yourself because you are capable of so many things. Once again, thank you so much, everyone, and have a blessed day ahead.
Wrap for this afternoon's affair. Thank you again to our discussants, to our participants, and everyone else who made this session possible.
This has been your host, Chelsea Jane Estomago.
And Maria Cristina Ho.
See you on the second online research conference. Imagine, innovate, inspire.